Get back. Get back. Quit, Cash. Come on. Quit. It's okay. Come here. It's not bad. Come here, Cash. Shit. Come here. Post it. Cash.
Hey, he's got a bird in his mouth.
Bubba. Hey, Bubba.
It's a guinea.
This is a chicken.
Come here, Bubba.
Come here, Cash.
Come here, Bubba.
Cash. Quit.
Come here, Bubba.
It was a quiet evening in South Carolina's Low Country, the kind of night that feels almost too still. A boy held up his phone, pointing it toward the family dog, capturing a brief moment at the kennels on their estate. In the background, a man speaks, calmly, casually. That voice, later confirmed by experts, would become the one thing he said was never there. Minutes passed, then something ended. That night, two members of a powerful family, Maggie and Paul Murdaugh, were shot dead. The man who called 911 sobbed into the phone, said he had just arrived, said he found them, said he had no idea. But that voice in the video told a different story. And the moment the world heard it, everything began to unravel. This isn't just a murder case. It's the collapse of a name that once stood untouchable in a small southern town. A legacy built over a century. A family cloaked in privilege. A town full of secrets, and one June night, it all shattered. So what really happened at Moselle? And why was the man who claimed he wasn't there already on tape? They were the kind of family that carried weight, not just in name, but in power. For nearly a century, the Murdaughs stood at the center of justice in South Carolina's Low Country. A dynasty of prosecutors and attorneys, each generation passing the gavel to the next. Their family name was stitched into the very fabric of the legal system in Hampton County. At the head of that family was Alex Murdaugh, prominent, persuasive, feared and respected in equal measure. And by his side, his wife Maggie and their two sons, Buster and Paul. But behind their well-manicured reputation was a family constantly surrounded by whispers. About favors, about money, about the way things always seemed to go their way. Until Paul Murdaugh, the youngest son, had a reputation that stretched far beyond his age. To some, he was just another reckless teenager. But in February 2019, a night on the water would change everything. He was drunk, belligerent. Friends say they begged him not to drive the boat. But he did. And when that boat crashed into a bridge piling, Mallory Beach, a 19-year-old girl, was thrown into the dark, cold water of Archer's Creek. Her body wouldn't be found for a week. Paul was charged with multiple felonies, including boating under the influence. But he didn't go to jail. He wasn't even wearing an ankle monitor, because being a Murdaugh meant the rules bent and sometimes broke. As the charges lingered, Paul moved through life with a shield most people would never know. But the cracks in the Murdaugh family's image were beginning to show. The tension, the lawsuits, the media attention. And then came June 7th, 2021. Their vast Moselle estate in Islandton was supposed to be a refuge. A sprawling 1,700-acre property with fields, woods, and kennels. Isolated, quiet. But that night, just after 10 p.m., Alex Murdaugh called 911, his voice shaking, telling dispatchers he'd found his wife and son shot to death near the dog kennels. Maggie was 52. Paul was just 22. Two members of one of the most powerful families in the South, executed in cold blood on their own land. The story was explosive, but it was just the beginning. As investigators pulled back the layers, they uncovered years of secrets, scandals, and a trail of death that went far beyond Moselle. The world would soon learn that this wasn't just about one night or even one family. This was about power, control, and what happens when a man who has everything begins to lose it all. Before the night of bloodshed at Moselle, the Murdaugh family was already unraveling behind its pristine southern image. Paul Murdaugh, the youngest son of Alex and Maggie, was under intense public scrutiny. In 2019, Paul had been involved in a fatal boat crash that took the life of 19-year-old Mallory Beach. That crash wasn't just a tragic accident. It became a lightning rod of controversy. Paul was reportedly intoxicated, driving the boat recklessly through the waters, and several passengers had warned him to slow down. He didn't. The boat slammed into a piling near Paris Island Bridge. Mallory was thrown into the water, and her body wasn't found for days. From that moment, the Murdaugh name, once revered in the Lowcountry, started appearing in headlines laced with suspicion and scandal. Paul was charged with 3 felonies, including boating under the influence causing death. But what caught the public's attention wasn't just Paul's actions. It was how the investigation unfolded. Rumors swirled that the Murdaugh influence delayed or even manipulated aspects of the case. Allegations arose that officers on the scene failed to administer sobriety tests to Paul or didn't document key witness statements properly. The whispers of corruption grew louder. Meanwhile, Alex Murdaugh was grappling with demons of his own. His law practice, once seen as a fortress of wealth and power, was facing financial instability. As the firm began to unravel, Alex's alleged embezzlement came to light. Behind the scenes, prosecutors believe Alex was siphoning millions from clients, fabricating accounts, forging checks, and covering up money trails. The family was drowning in lawsuits, legal fees, and a reputation that was rapidly disintegrating. The weight of financial ruin, public embarrassment, and looming criminal accountability was closing in. And then, something unthinkable happened. June 7th started like any other day on the sprawling 1,700-acre Moselle estate in Culleton County, South Carolina. The property was quiet, surrounded by woods and solitude. But as the sun went down, the serenity would soon be shattered forever. Paul Murdaugh spent the evening with his mother Maggie and his father Alex. According to records, he was tending to the family's dogs at the kennels, a common routine.
Get back! Get back! Quit, Cash. Come on. Quit. It's okay. Come here. It's not bad. Come here, Cash. Shit. Come here. Post it. Cash.
Hey, he's got a bird in his mouth.
Hey, Bubba.
That's a guinea.
There's a chicken.
Come here, Bubba.
Come here, Cash.
Come here, Bubba.
Cash. Quit.
At approximately 8:44 p.m., Paul captured a Snapchat video from the kennels. In the footage, Paul speaks to one of the dogs. But in the background, what viewers and prosecutors alike would later recognize was Alex Murdaugh's voice. This was pivotal, because Alex would initially claim he wasn't there.
Yes, sir. Can you point out Alex Murdaugh, the person whose voice you recognize in this video in this courtroom, please? Sitting right here in the gray jacket. Please let the record reflect he's identified the defendant.
Rogan Gibson, Paul's close friend, testified that Paul had called him moments before the murders. Rogan could hear Alex's voice in the background. This single detail would become critical in unraveling Alex's timeline of events. Paul posted one last photo to his Instagram account. It's a mundane image, innocent, almost forgettable, but now it carries a chilling timestamp, forever marking the last moments before his life was stolen. At 8:49 p.m., phone activity for both Paul and Maggie abruptly stops. Investigators would later determine this is around the time they were both shot to death. Multiple gunshots were fired, some from a shotgun, others from an assault-style rifle. 2 family members, executed just feet apart. And the only other person on the property at the time, Alex Murdaugh. At 10:06 p.m., Alex Murdaugh placed a frantic 911 call. His voice trembled as he claimed to have just found the lifeless bodies of his wife and son near the dog kennels.
Randy. Maggie's all her dad. Where are you now? All right. Yeah, the police are here now. The police are here now.
Affirmative.
That's my brother.
Okay. When was the last time you were here with them? Or talked to them or anything like that?
It was earlier tonight. I don't know the exact time, but
Okay.
I left. I was probably gone an hour and a half from my mom's, and I saw them about 45 minutes before that.
Okay.
I rode around with Paul for 2 hours this afternoon in the pickup truck.
That's your son, Paul? Okay.
Somebody going to check him?
Yes, sir. They've already checked them.
They did check him?
Yes, sir.
It's official that they're dead?
Yes, sir. That's what it looks like.
I'm sorry.
No. You're fine.
I'm very sorry. Gotta call her parents.
What's her name?
Her name is Maggie Murdaugh. Margaret Brandstetter Murdaugh. How you doing?
What's her birthday?
9/15/68.
Okay. And what's your son's first name? You said Paul?
Paul Terry Murdaugh.
And what's his birthday?
Jason, do you have anybody
4.
coming through town that could stop and pick up that tent? I see lighting off in the distance.
What are they covering them up?
I got some getting dressed now, Sheriff. I'll have somebody stop and grab it.
Tell them they don't have to do that.
When deputies arrived, Alex was seen pacing, sobbing, and making a series of phone calls to friends and relatives. His white shirt appeared clean. He claimed he had tried checking for pulses, yet there were no visible signs that he had touched either body. His demeanor immediately raised red flags. Some officers described him as distraught, others as oddly performative. In the footage, Alex refers to the boat crash, seemingly trying to offer a motive for the killings. He suggests someone must have retaliated against Paul, but investigators noted how quickly Alex volunteered that theory. It seemed too ready, too rehearsed. There was no sign of forced entry, no surveillance, no known witnesses. And yet, 2 family members lay dead in the dirt, and Alex was the one who found them. In the days following the murders, something else emerged, a voice from within the house itself.
I walked through the front door and I went in the kitchen. And I was kind of, when I looked in the kitchen, I kind of just stopped in my tracks and I looked at the stove, and I was kind of, I don't know what the word is. When I looked and I noticed the stove, that there was no pots on the stove, it was kind of unusual, because usually when they ate dinner the night before, the pots usually stayed on the stove. Very, very seldom would she put, certain meals in the refrigerator. A lot of times it was just left on the stove until the next day. And the pots were not in the sink, and they were not on the stove. And then as I walked through, if you walk through the kitchen, like you're going to, from the kitchen, if you walk through the kitchen, if you go to the left, there's 2 freezer and a refrigerator, and the laundry room sat right there to the left. There's a back door to the back porch, and then there's the laundry room door. They're both right there. And as I turned to go to the laundry room, I noticed that her pajamas were in the middle of the doorway, right in the middle, laid neatly in the middle of the doorway going into the laundry room. It was her pajama pants, a pair of underwear, and her pajama top.
Was that unusual?
That was very unusual. because she wouldn't lay her clothes out like that, not in the middle of the door like that. It just didn't look right to me.
And you took care of the house?
Yes.
You took care of the clothes?
Yes.
And not to get too personal, but sometimes you can't help it. Were the underwear there with the pajamas unusual?
Yes.
Why?
She didn't wear underwear with her pajamas.
No underwear with pajamas. But that struck you.
No underclothes with the pajamas.
But that struck you as unusual. They were there with the pajamas.
Yes, sir, because the underwear appeared to be clean, not dirty. They still had like fold marks.
And the pots, and I may have just missed it. You said, where would the pots end up when you found them?
After I looked at the pajamas on the floor, the way that they were set, I turned around and I said, well, I wonder where the pots are. So I opened the refrigerator door, and the pots were sitting inside the refrigerator with lids on them. And I was like, you know, who did this? I don't know at that point, but that was not normal for the whole pot to be sitting in the fridge.
Did you make any other observations in the house, the bathroom, or anywhere else?
In the master bathroom was her clothes were sitting next to the tub. It was a small pile of clothes right next to the tub, and by the shower. If you walk in the master bedroom, there's a big garden tub, spa type tub, and then right here is the shower, and there's a window. On the floor next to the shower was a slight puddle of water, a towel, and a pair of khaki pants. And then as I went to the left to see if there was anything else that was out, I looked in the closet, and in the closet was a white damp towel on the floor. It appeared that a t-shirt had fallen off of the stack of t-shirts that were on top of the shelf right there in the closet. It was laying on the floor next to the towel.
When you took care of the home, was that, tell us how the clothes were laid out, the shirts, the shorts, were you saying up on a shelf, or the shirts, how were
in the closet there was a shelf. There was some shelves, smaller shelves right here, and then there was some long ones. Maggie used to keep her clothes on these, and then there was a shorter one, kind of like little box looking, you know, Alex used to keep his clothes.
The family's longtime housekeeper revealed chilling details. She described how the house felt different. She claimed that clothing had been washed, items had been moved. In certain areas of the home, particularly near where Alex said he'd last seen Maggie and Paul, had been cleaned or rearranged. The housekeeper's suspicions grew louder when she mentioned a set of clothes Alex had been wearing earlier that day, clothes that were never seen again. She wasn't a forensic expert, but she knew that something had been altered, something had been staged. And in a home where every room once echoed with family life, now silence and suspicion lingered. Her quiet observations would become a cornerstone of the case. At first, law enforcement treated the Murdaughs with caution. This was no ordinary family. Alex's father, grandfather, and great-grandfather had each served as top prosecutors in the 14th Judicial Circuit. For nearly a century, the Murdaugh name had been the law in this part of South Carolina. So in the immediate aftermath, investigators hesitated. No arrests were made. No official suspect named. The community was stunned, but not entirely surprised by the deference. There were no signs of forced entry. No weapon recovered. But slowly, as weeks passed, a storm of media attention gathered. Every twist of the story made headlines. The Murdaughs were no longer the untouchable elite. They were now the subject of national obsession. The deeper the investigation went, the more tangled the truth became. And as the world watched, the pressure mounted. The question lingered in every headline, every whisper in court. Was Alex Murdaugh the grieving father and husband, or was he something far more sinister? In the immediate aftermath of the double homicide, the spotlight turned sharply toward one man, Alex Murdaugh, husband to Maggie and father to Paul. Initially, Alex told investigators that he hadn't been at the dog kennels where the murders took place. He claimed he had been visiting his mother, who was suffering from advanced dementia, at her home a short drive away. According to Alex, he returned to Moselle only to find the bodies of his wife and son lying lifeless in the dirt. But the story quickly began to unravel.
Have any problem with it?
So, just start at the top, take your time.
Like when I came back here, I mean, I pulled up and I could see them, and, you know, I knew something was bad. I ran out. I knew it was really bad. My boy over there, I could see it was...
Sorry.
And I could see his brain on his... And I ran over to Maggie, and actually, I think I tried to turn Paul over first. You know, I tried to turn him over, and I don't know, I figured it out. His cell phone popped out of his pocket. I started to try to do something with it, thinking maybe, but then I put it back down really quickly. Then I went to my wife, and I mean, I could see.
Did you touch Maggie at all?
I did. I touched them both.
Okay.
I tried to take, I tried to do it as limited as possible, but I tried to take their pulse on both of them. And, you know, I called 911 pretty much right away, and she was very good. I talked to her. I told her I was going to get off the phone to call some family members. I did that.
What family members did you call?
I called my brother Randy, and I called my brother John. And I tried to call a little boy, real good friend that's right around the corner from here, but I didn't get him.
Okay. What all was around Paul when you walked up?
Blood.
Anything else?
I mean, there were some body things, yes, sir.
I mean, like any other evidence? I know you said the phone fell out the pocket, but did you see anything else that didn't belong or shouldn't belong or that wasn't part of Paul?
No, sir, not the... No, sir.
How about Maggie?
No, sir.
You didn't see anything around them? What made you come out here tonight?
I went to... My mom's a late-stage Alzheimer's patient. My dad's in the hospital. My mom gets anxious when she does. I went to check on them and Maggie. Maggie's a dog lover, and she fools with the dogs. And I knew she'd gone to the kennel. I was at the house. I left the house and went to my mom's for just a little while. Tried to call her when I left. Texted her, no response. When I got back to the house was obviously nobody was in there, so I figured they're still up here fooling around. Paul was gonna be getting set up to plant. Our sunflower seeds got sprayed and died, and he was refiguring to do to plant the sunflower seeds.
Okay.
So I came back up here and I drove up and saw and called.
Had Maggie and Paul been arguing over anything?
No.
What was their relationship like?
Wonderful.
Wonderful. How about yours and Maggie's?
Wonderful. I mean, I'm sure we had little things here and there, but we had a wonderful marriage, wonderful relationship.
And yours and Paul's relationship?
As good as it could be.
How old was Paul?
22.
Okay. These guys tonight?
Talked with Nolan, yes sir.
Is he out here?
Yes sir.
Okay.
I tried to call Rogan, was one of the people he's the boy that I told you lives around the corner.
Okay.
That's very, he's just a good, helpful young man. You mind if I open the door really quickly?
Go right ahead. Do what you need to do. So is there anybody that you can think of that we need to talk to tonight? Is there a name that comes to mind?
I mean, I can't tell you anybody that I'm overly suspicious of off the top of my head.
Okay.
I mean, this is such a stupid thing. I'm even embarrassed to say it. But it just didn't make any sense. I just hired a guy out here, and he wasn't cutting the mustard, but I hadn't told him this yet. Paul's been working with him a lot. He killed the sunflower seeds in our dove field just recently, which is why Paul was here doing this. He told Paul a story the other day about how when he was in high school, he got in a fight with some black guys. And the FBI undercover team observed him fighting those guys and put him on an undercover team with 3 Navy SEALs. And that their job was to kill radical Black Panthers. And they did that from Myrtle Beach to Savannah. Now, I really don't think this guy, is probably the person, but that's just so friggin'.
Yeah, that's kind of far-fetched story.
That's weird. But he was off today.
Okay.
He took his daddy to the doctor.
What's his name?
CB Rowe.
R-O-W-E?
Yeah, and I sent him a message to text me earlier today about the sunflowers, and he called me back when I was on the way to my mom's house.
Did you talk to him at that time?
Briefly, I was on the phone with a lawyer friend of mine named Chris Wilson from Bamberg, so I told him I'd call him back tomorrow, see him in the morning.
When you briefly talked to Mr. Rowe, what was his demeanor or attitude? Or
I mean, it seemed normal. I mean, I asked him about the sunflowers, and so, I'm sure he's a little bit.
Where does he live?
I don't exactly know. Somewhere in in Bronson.
Okay. Do you have his phone number?
I do.
You got it with you, or closer?
Actually, I really do not think, in all honesty, that it's him, but I know y'all got to check it out. But Paul was so taken aback by it that he sent, I'll find it, I got it on my phone. He recorded him saying bits and pieces of it.
Okay.
No. But for all his weirdness, I do think they got along pretty good.
How long had he been working here?
I guess about 3 or 4 pay periods, so 8 weeks, a couple months.
Okay. Going back to the boat incident, anybody on that boat really have a hard-on for Paul that you would think would come after him, or know of any direct threats from people on the boat?
I don't know of any direct threats between any of the people on the boat specifically, but I do think there's been a small amount of yip-yap between a couple of them, but not recently.
Okay.
Most of this was stuff from people that Paul didn't really know.
Okay.
It was some people that he knew distantly, but more times than not, when I learned about it, it was somebody that he didn't know.
Okay.
It's like, for example, he went out in Charleston a couple months ago, came back, he got a black eye. And, he can't defend himself right now because he has these charges. So, Paul was a real tough man's man.
Mm-hmm.
He would just...
He would defend himself, but he hadn't been...
That's right, but...
How was he handling that case, moving over everybody?
As far as what?
How was he handling it?
I've never been prouder of him than the way he has handled the pressures and the adversity in that situation. I think I've told Danny that before.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Paul is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful kid. He can do almost anything. He gets along with almost anybody.
Do y'all store any weapons out here?
We don't store them, but they're frequently out here.
Mm-hmm.
I need to find out if there were any out here, because I know there was a shotgun. There was a 12-gauge shotgun out here. I'll have to find out exactly when that was. I think it got put up, but I'm not positive.
What did that shotgun look like?
It was a camouflage. I want to say it was a Benelli or maybe a Beretta. I can't remember which brand it is. But I don't think it was out here recently. But I'm not positive.
And the shotgun that you had when deputies pulled up, where did that come from?
I went to the house and I got a gun. Probably overreacting, but...
And was that when you pulled up and saw them?
No, I came out and I called 911 first.
Mm-hmm.
Talked to them for a little while, and then I told her.
You told her?
That I was going to go to the house.
Okay.
And that I would let authorities know when they got here that I had a gun.
Okay. Do you happen to have a list of all your guns?
I can make one. I don't have one, but I can make one.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying, so we could compare if that shotgun was out here and now it's missing.
Absolutely.
Try to figure that out.
I know, absolutely.
And I know living out here in the country, you probably have more than one or two.
We do. We probably have 20, 25 guns.
Yeah. Shotguns, rifles.
Pistols.
Any rifles?
Yes, sir.
What kind of rifles?
All kinds.
Yeah.
All kinds. You name it, across the board, we have them.
Okay.
And all of them we have are, in a hunting room in our house.
You said you tried to flip him over. Was he laying on his back or on his stomach?
Just like he is.
Just like he is. So you weren't able to move him. Okay.
No, ma'am.
Okay. And did he help Maggie a lot out here with the animals?
He helped everybody with everything.
Okay, so it was kind of routine for him to be out here as well in the evening?
This place is his absolute passion.
Okay.
meantime, the coroner will take custody of Paul and Maggie.
Can I answer that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. What? No, let me. We're finished. Let me come out. Well, I'll be here when he gets here. No, don't let him come up here. Okay, yeah. I think we're about done. All right, thank you. So, I'm sorry.
Buster, getting here? Okay.
Yes, sir. I dropped my card.
We'll get you one.
Sorry.
I'll get you one.
Here you go.
Thank you.
So the coroner will come over and talk to you. They'll do the autopsy and everything, and then go from there.
Thank you.
But we'll come to you before we leave.
Thank you very much.
Investigators sat across from Alex in a sterile room, calmly listening as he described his version of events. His tone was calm, his voice unwavering. He was a grieving husband and father, or so it appeared. Yet even as he spoke, a quiet storm was brewing, a detail that would change everything. A Snapchat video taken by Paul just minutes before his death captured a voice in the background, a voice unmistakably belonging to Alex. It placed him at the scene, directly contradicting his own alibi. Suddenly, the grieving father wasn't just a witness. He was possibly a suspect caught in a lie. But why would Alex kill his own family? Investigators started to look closer at his life, and what they found was staggering. Alex Murdaugh was drowning in financial fraud. Decades of embezzlement, deception, and secret accounts were beginning to surface. Lawsuits were mounting. His once impenetrable legacy in the legal world was disintegrating. Did Alex murder his wife and son to shift the spotlight? To draw sympathy? To delay a looming financial collapse? Some suggested another angle, one rooted in revenge. Paul had been at the center of a tragic boat crash in 2019 that left a young woman, Mallory Beach, dead. The case had earned the family no shortage of enemies. Could someone from that circle have finally taken justice into their own hands? The town was divided. The media ran wild. Theories multiplied overnight. Was this a father trying to protect his family's legacy? A husband pushed past his breaking point? Or had years of deceit finally caught up with him, and he chose the most brutal way out? Was this a desperate man covering his tracks? Or something more sinister? The tide was turning. For weeks, suspicion had brewed quietly, unspoken but undeniable. Whispers carried through courtroom halls, local diners, and even into the pews of South Carolina churches. The Murdaugh name, once a symbol of power, legacy, and fear, was now laced with unease. Then came a pivotal moment. Authorities reviewed a video captured on Paul's phone just minutes before he and Maggie were gunned down. It was a simple clip, seemingly innocuous. Paul had been filming one of the family's dogs at the Moselle kennels. But in the background, a voice. Clear, recognizable. It was Alex Murdaugh. That detail shattered his carefully constructed alibi, the claim that he had left the estate to visit his ailing mother at the time of the murders. Until now, that story had offered him a layer of distance. But this video pulled him right back into the scene, not hours before the crime, but mere minutes. Investigators compared the voice to known recordings. There was no denying it. Friends, family, and even law enforcement who knew Alex well confirmed it. The voice in that video was his. It didn't take long for everything to unravel. Once the timeline was re-examined, the gap in Alex's story was no longer wide enough to slip through. There simply wasn't enough time for him to leave Moselle, commit the murders, and return unnoticed. And if he was there, why had he lied? Why had he insisted so vehemently that he wasn't? With the alibi demolished, suspicion turned inward, not just toward Alex, but toward the Murdaugh dynasty as a whole. Could a family that had ruled the legal system for generations really fall victim to its own darkness? Rumors swirled about a potential cover-up. Had connections been called in? Were investigators initially hesitant to push too hard? Had the Murdaugh name bought them just enough time to strategize? And yet, for all the mounting pressure, for all the evidence piling up, still, there was no arrest. Weeks turned into months. The community waited, some in fear, others in outrage. People wondered aloud, if anyone else had been at the center of this storm, would they already be behind bars? But this was no ordinary family. This was the Murdaughs. And for now, the man at the heart of it all still walked free. As the summer of 2021 began to fade, so too did the initial shock of the brutal Murdaugh double murder. Weeks had passed, then months, and yet the silence remained deafening. No arrests, no confessions, no official suspects. The crime had captivated the country, and in the absence of solid answers, the space was quickly filled with whispers, theories, and divisions. Some believed Alex Murdaugh was a grieving husband and father, a man destroyed by the loss of his wife and son. Others saw something more calculated in his eyes, something darker. The Lowcountry community, once tight-knit and quiet, had splintered into hushed camps. People who had grown up together now looked at each other with suspicion. What really happened to Moselle that night, they wondered. And how deep does this go? Through it all, the Murdaugh family presented a front of unity. Buster Murdaugh, now the only remaining son, stayed almost completely silent. He didn't appear on camera. He didn't issue public statements. He didn't engage in interviews. But his absence spoke volumes. Was he shielding himself from media frenzy? Or was he hiding something more? And what about the Murdaugh name, a name that once held near sacred power in Hampton County? Now, it lingered like a ghost, haunting every courtroom, every sidewalk conversation, every newspaper headline. There was no indictment, no charges, no resolution, just a town holding its breath, and a family keeping its secrets. A mother and son, found slaughtered on the grounds of their own estate. A grieving father, once respected, now whispering behind lies. A Southern dynasty built on law and legacy, unraveling in public view. But beneath the blood, the tears, and the carefully crafted stories, one name keeps surfacing. Again and again. Alex Murdaugh, his voice captured on a video he swore never existed. An alibi that begins to crumble. And a timeline too tight to be trusted. Yet even as the evidence mounted, he walked free. No arrest. No charges. Just silence. And a family holding tight to a mask that was starting to slip. At that moment, the world still had no idea how dark this rabbit hole would go. Because what came next would expose generations of secrets, jailhouse confessions, stolen millions, a fake shooting, and a courtroom bombshell that would shake the nation. You've just witnessed the beginning, but the trial hasn't even started. Watch part 2 tomorrow, same time, right here on Dark Trail Files. We're diving into the unraveling, the lies, the money, the testimonies that flipped the case upside down, and the final verdict that stunned even the courtroom. Subscribe now if you haven't. Turn on the bell, because the next chapter drops tomorrow. And trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming. And now I want to hear from you. Was Alex guilty all along? Or are we all falling for a narrative fed to us in pieces? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Your voice matters, because on Dark Trail Files, the truth is never buried.